And we came up with a preliminary concept plan in 2007. And you can see that there were a number, people wanted more beaches, they wanted a lagoon, they wanted an expansion of Calumet Park, and we took a look at a couple of ways in which we might make the connection here. One would be a slender park along the shore. The community that lived there was concerned about, they didn't want anybody coming by their property, so we had an alternative island design that was proposed because that would take the park path away from the shoreline. Now, this plan was then submitted to an engineering firm last fall. The engineering firm is AECOM, and the engineering firm was asked to look at this in terms of feasibility, sustainability, in terms of environmental requirements. And I will show you the results now of that review, because some things were changed. What we had is, this area stayed as really it was in the other plan. There's no lake fill here. It's really just a transfer of the land from the Port District to the Park District and the capping of the confined disposal facility. We copied the idea that the groups in the Calumet had suggested in relation to a number of other natural areas where they proposed that these be transferred from the Port District to the Forest Preserve District of Cook County. Here we were suggesting let's let the Park District manage this expansion of Calumet Park. And then for the U.S. Steel property, we looked at what had been dedicated in the arrangements between, at that time, SECHS and McCaffrey, the owner of this area. And there was a 300-foot path here, and then there was additional parkland, about 94 acres in here. And we said, as the community had told us, we'd like to make that bigger, so that we did expand the park here, but rather than a whole range of beaches, we also wanted the trail along the lake to connect with the plans for this area. And this is done by the Southeast Environmental Task Force, who then incorporated the idea for the continuous lakefront path, the expansion of Calumet Park, into their plan, because we do feel that while we're looking at the lakefront, we believe it's very important to be connected with these other planning efforts. And I know we're running out of time, so I'm not going to, I'm going to try to go a little more quickly. Again, we looked at ecological opportunities here, and that a lot of the schemata that I showed you at the beginning could be incorporated. And I'd be glad to come back at another time or talk with your group about how we would do that, but tonight I think we've used sufficient time. But there's a lot of support in the community for the plans for expanding Calumet Park and for the plans to expand even the ideas at the USX site to really have a glorious lakefront park on the south side, just as we have on the north in Lincoln Park. But we want tonight to concentrate on the plans to complete the lakefront parks on the south lakefront. And the benefits would be that we would be linked all together, that we could go from Calumet Park and bike or ride all the way up to the Evanston border, that there would be no fence prohibiting that movement. We also think that it would add a great deal, almost 500 acres of new green space, and that we would have some additional ecological benefits which are badly needed by the lake. In fact, there's now going to be some governmental monies available for those projects that would be able to show that there would be ecological benefits. In addition, there have been a lot of studies to show the relationship between the health of the communities living near when there is additional green space, and also the value to children who can go out and move around. Many of you have heard about the Chicago Wilderness Program, Leave No Child Inside. Well, we have to have safe places for our children to move out and about, or they will stay. They are staying inside. The other interesting study is done by Trust for Public Lands, which shows the relationship between adding parkland and the businesses and property values in the area. This is not to say that it would be right next door, but it benefits those businesses and property, residential property that's further to the west. So we, at this time, are proposing that Chicago think about completing the lakefront parks. And the first step that we think we can take is the transfer of the land at Iroquois Landing and the capping of the confined disposal facility, which really doesn't, it isn't lake fill, it's not, there's not much cost. The other suggestion that we have is that we can claim the beaches that are forming now that the lake levels are low, belong to all of us. And can we ask the state and the park district, which are the action agencies, to claim those and begin to look at connecting our lakefront for all of us. For now, we ask that you take a look at the brochure. We brought some brochures in the back of the room. Take a look at them and then contact your public officials who care very much about the lakefront, and let them know what you think about it. And I put a list of addresses of our Alderman Pope, Alderman Jackson, the various state officials that would like to hear, and maybe together we can begin to look at some ways of phasing in some aspects of this plan. One idea that was just proposed the other day by Skidmore, Owens & Merrill, that is the architect of record for the Caffey's lakeside development, is there a way that we can push for the development of the park on the eastern edge of that property? Now, if they were interested, if Congressman Jackson thinks that he can maybe find some federal stimulus funds, if the community would be interested in that, then maybe then together we can work to phase in that piece of completing the lakefront parks. Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.